A dialog box option provides format to report the background color, either using rules or diverging colors. Click on the diverging checkbox, and that should pull up a little middle section. And then just click OK. And you'll see now we have our box basically takes the minimum and maximum and does diverging colors based on what we set. Someone has their mic on and you can hear car noises in the back. Do you mind muting yourself? Thank you. So note that conditional formatting can also be based off of another column. So if we go back to that conditional formatting really quick, let me go to background color again. You can see that it's based off of percent growth. So we're having the percent growth column be based off of the percent growth metric. But let's say you wanted the colors in that column to be based off of a different column. You can set a different metric. But keep in mind, these generally have to be metrics or measures. So a numerical value as opposed to a categorical value. So next step, initially we added a filter to load in 3 years worth of data. Let's load all of the data now. So as you can see, we have 2017 through 2019. We're going to open this up. So from the ribbon, let's click Home. And then we're going to click Transform Data. And then the Power Query Editor will open. Click on the date column. Sorry. One of the things is if you load the Lab 2 solution, your file is going to be wrong. So this is going to be somewhat tricky. It goes into a little bit of advanced Power Query, but what we're going to do is we're just going to edit the string here to match the string that we actually use on our local desktop. So in this case, my folder, my data folder is here. Freezing on me again. I'm just going to do it by hand. So know that this should be, just find it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically create a new file doing the same idea. That way I can just take that path and then plug it into here. So let's just grab the BI dimensions, for example. We'll just grab product table for now, because all we're doing is really just trying to grab that very first line. And so if I go to this one, you can see the other ones are failing because it's pointing to, it expects me to put it into this folder, but I don't have my stuff there. But this one I just loaded in from an actual file. And so I can see this is actually the string where my BI dimensions sits, and that's where it goes up to data. And so if we match that to the string here in source, we can see that the data line goes up to here. So I'm just going to plug that in. If I press enter, it should load now. And so if we do that for all of our queries at the source level, everything should come back into view. Notice I'm grabbing before the US sales and just replacing up to the data port. Same thing every time. Oh, forgot a comma slash there. So what's wrong with our sales one? Have it coming in. It's the international sales needs to append. So once this loads, sample file. We got to do it to our custom function up here as well. And now everything should load. All right. So now that we've loaded everything, what we're going to do is we are going to remove the date filter that we did before. So if you look on the right side in our applied steps, you'll see the last step we did is date is in the previous 3 years. Now, what we can do is here, you'll see the little filter icon shows that we filtered everything. We can click this filter button again, and we can click clear filter. You'll see that that step now disappeared because we're basically undoing it. The other option you can do is just hit that little X on that last step, and that should, remove it. After you're done, click Home, and then click Close and Apply. This might take some time, depending on your RAM, but generally should be, under 2 or 3 minutes. After this, we're going to make sure that our report is filtered by Van Arsdale using the manufacturer slicer up at the top here. And then we're going to remove all other filters. And so we can check which filters are on. If you hover over any visual and look at this filter icon, it'll show you which filters are affecting that visual. And generally, unless you have a filter specifically on that visual, then these filters are page level or report level filters, in which case we can find where they are and remove them. So, we can look up, we actually have the categories urban, top manufacturers, and segment is extreme. So this probably exists up here somewhere. So let's remove this segment is extreme. Let's remove that. And we'll remove, let's leave the top competitors or Van Arsdale for now. All right, so now we're gonna, after we've made sure that we're filtering by Van Arsdale at the top and this manufacturer slicer, we're gonna enable drill down mode on the revenue by country. So here we have it by country, and we're gonna enable this drill down mode. Click Australia to drill down to the state. So now we have all the different states in Australia. And at this point, your report should look similar to this, right? We got this revenue by state here, or Australian states here. We have our revenue by year, and notice that we have 2012 to 2019. Let's put our KPI up here, and let's drag this down a little bit. Yeah. Maybe open up that. Let's close this. Alrighty. Next, let's hover over the manufacturer slicer. On the top right corner, you'll see a little drop-down arrow here. Select the type of slicer. We're going to change this to list. Now, we can open this up a little bit. In the visualization panel on this right side, we're going to click on the paint roller icon, and you'll see different formatting options for this visual. So here we're going to expand the general section, and then we're going to switch orientation to horizontal from vertical. So switch to horizontal, and you'll notice we get these nice little buttons that show up. In order to really do the buttons justice, let's kind of make it like, horizontal. Now, we can use the slicer like we did before. So just click on Van Arsdale and you can see how this all works out. So then after that, let's collapse the general section. Now it'd be nice to add logos to the manufacturing slicer. I think this is one of the coolest features. You can also do this in like tables and matrices, but not other visualizations. But what you can do is, so what we're going to do is from the field section, let's click on the manufacturer table and let's click on the logo field. Just click on it, don't check it. And from the ribbon, click on Column Tools, and then click Data Category. And let's open up this box. And we're going to let Power BI know that this is an actual image URL. So if we go to the manufacturer table in the data view here, and we go to manufacturer and we look at logo, we'll see that it's really a GitHub link, right? That links to a JPEG. Let me get that large. But if you hover over it, it's actually a PNG file, and all of these are PNG files. So we want to let Power BI know this is actually an image URL. From the canvas, click on the manufacturer slicer. And from the field section, in the field section, let's drag logo instead of the manufacturer name. And now you'll see we get the logo, that PNG file. It gets used as the slicer image. Click on the Van Arsdale logo, and we can see that it indeed works, just like we had it before. Click the revenue by year visual. And from the visualization panel, click the line and clustered column chart. So that's line and clustered to be the second bar chart with the line going across it. And you'll see we now have a new well for line values. From the field section, let's grab from sales. Let's grab percent growth and put that as the line value. This provides a representation of the actual revenue per year as well as the percent growth from the previous year. So now let's click on the revenue card, this card visual here, and let's change this into a gauge visual. So if you go over here, next to the card, there's a little speedometer kind of thing. So just click that and you'll get the gauge visual. And from the field section, let's drag the PY sales to the target value. And you'll see it gives us a little KPI line with the prior year sales. Now let's take some time to select the colors of all these visuals. Let's click on the gauge visual. And from the visualization panel, let's click on that paint roller. And let's expand the data colors section. We'll get to your question in a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the arrow next to the fill color. And you'll notice that you can pick a color from the default color palette. So these color palettes. Maybe these aren't like the colors that we want, and we could spend all day picking out custom colors, but there's a thing called themes. So what we're going to do is we're going to load in a theme, and then that'll allow us to change different colors. So from the ribbon, we'll click View, and then we're going to click on Temperature. So if you open this up, you'll see temperature should kind of be at the bottom here. And that'll give us you'll see that all of that blue changed to this darker blue. And then when we go to the gauge visual and we check on the fill, we have a new color palette. All right, so Sadhana, the line value. Let's start with, let's go back to this visual. First, we have to switch the visual from a clustered bar chart to a line and clustered column chart. First, you have to select this kind of visual, and that should open up a new well called line value. And we're going to take that, we're going to open up the sales table, take the percent growth, and drag that into the line value. Now for the gauge, we want to switch that from a card to a gauge visual, and that should give us a target value. So our value should inherit that revenue from before, and we're going to drag in PY sales into that target value. So I'm gonna repeat the theme. So maybe we want to change the colors here. If we go to the paint roller icon, once we've selected the gauge visual and click on data colors, we can then choose which color we want the fill and the target to be. Now, let's say we don't like the colors that are here in this palette, like maybe they're all, a little too dark for us or all too similar. We can then import a theme. And if you click on, let's say, solar or something, you'll notice that all the colors will change, as well as the colors for our palette. So in our scenario, the marketing department of Van Arsdale has provided standard colored themes to be used across reports. We can use the report theme feature in Power BI by uploading a theme. The report theme requires a JSON or JavaScript object notation file where the data colors, background, and foreground in a table of accent colors are defined. The JSON file can be used across all the reports and across all the pages within a report. So from the ribbon, we're going to click the view. Then we're going to click themes. And then we're going to open up and we're going to browse for themes on our computer. Now, if we go to the data file and then we click theme, we'll see we have two different DIAD themes. Let's click on the theme 2, and you'll see that the theme was imported successfully. Now, I want to take a second because this is kind of one of the things I do for a lot of larger clients that do have a marketing department. I think it does really well if you talk to the marketing department, you get their brand book or their marketing guidelines. And it'll have a lot of things like the colors that they like to use or the fonts that they like to use. And man, this file is just not sitting happy with me. Having trouble opening up my Finder folder. All right, well, I guess I can't show you right now, but really, if you've ever used JSON or if you've used Python, like a dictionary or a map, it's pretty simple to write. And if you look at the file that you just pulled here, so this data theme file, you'll see how